Welcome back, you guys. Today we have a very interesting build. We're gonna end up doing a patriotic build. Now, had a customer reach out to me. They said, hey, I wanna give you a budget, I wanna give you a firearm, and I want you to do your thing. So let's briefly discuss the overview of kind of what we're trying to do here and what we're not trying to do here. And let me explain myself a little bit better. So we've got a slide, we've got a barrel, we've got a frame. We know that we've seen a lot of different builds out there today. Almost any relatively large gun shop you could walk into, you see some sort of a stars and bars, red, white, and blue design. We see a lot of in Cerakote because a lot of those businesses don't offer laser, they don't offer CNC, they offer Cerakote. So we happen to see a lot of the flag pattern over what would be the entire build, all the way from the slide all the way down to the frame. Usually they're skipping the barrel, or they might be going with a solid color on the barrel, but traditionally it's a lot of stars and bars and it's a lot of flag visual. Okay, so the idea here is that since this is kind of something that I'm tackling, this is something that we're doing for the first time as a full build, and as you guys know me, I kind of have a different visual a lot of the time. I kind of think outside of the box. What I don't want to do is just have the same thing that we've already seen before done again in a different version of it. I just don't want to do that. So a lot of the times, once again, you see a lot of the stripes in the back and the stars here, and the stars on the other side. And guys, I do apologize. I know it seems a lot like we're discussing what we're not doing versus discussing what we do want to do. But keep in mind here, and that is patriotic build, red, white, and blue, not traditional. Okay, we want to get off the beaten path of the standard visualization that we typically get. So, with that being said, we're not really going to discuss a whole lot of the work. What we're going to do is we're going to jump right straight into the Tormach 770. We do have a lot of CNC work. We do have a lot of laser work. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of coloring work as well. The last couple things I want to tell you is we're not going to be doing a optic on the gun, so that gives us top rear zone to work with. We're not going to be using anything but what would be the factory barrel. So we're going to try to keep that into a red, white, and blue theme. So we're also going to stay with a Cerakote finish on that and not going with a hard coat finish. So these are some of the details that we happen to have here. Overall, we will be going with a blue trigger. We will be upgrading the sights, but that's kind of overall going to give you the visual of what we're working with. And hopefully in the end, you guys can kind of see exactly where we came from to where we were going to. And let's just see how it turns out. guys, let's take a look and see exactly how this came out in the end. We're going to end up having 2 parts to this story here at the end. We've got some hurdles. There was a lot of hurdles in this build, and I want to emphasize on the work that's been performed now. I want to show you guys the product as it has ended in the end. And I know there's a lot of you guys on YouTube that think the videos go too long and they're kind of overboard, and that's why we've kind of stepped back off the line and we've stopped making as many because we don't have the time to devote to it, especially if you guys don't want to see it. So with that being said, let's discuss what we have in hand, and then we'll kind of cut those guys short and you guys can take a hike, and then we'll kind of go into the hassles of the build and a lot of the hurdles, quite honestly. So let's please you guys up front. Guys, a lot of CNC work here that's been done. We ended up doing shave the sides down. We ended up doing the knurling on the sides. We skipped the rear serrations. Wanted to make sure that we're still well aware it's still a Glock. Got to keep in mind, you guys have watched the video, but people that put this in their hand maybe didn't know where it came from. People that were, have seen this through a gun shop or maybe through a friend. We want to make sure that they're well aware that we'd started with the factory slide. There's a lot of companies out there that work with an aftermarket slide, and they don't have the hurdles that we have. So want to make sure we still leave something that's a little bit factory here. Loving these edged serrations down here. Man, that is super aggressive. I'm loving that we've done that on some of our other builds. That usually pops up on some of our high-end builds. Now on the top, we ended up doing laser cut stars. Of course, we ended up doing the knurling. We got a couple flute bars here on the back, like that overall. And then of course on the other side we have matching. So we've got to step down, a little bit of a cleaning of the side to make sure we remove that factory text. Multi-step down, and then of course we have laser cut window, laser cut top, laser stars. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about on the slide is that we ended up going with a textured coating. So what that means is, and as we get to the hurdles part of this video, we'll go into this a little bit more, but what that means is that it's actually like a textured coating on the outside. I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see here. We're going to add some pictures. It's going to show it to you just a little bit more, but it's an interesting build overall. We didn't want to just go with blue and raw with a clear. We wanted to give it a little bit more of pop to it since the frame has a little bit more battle worn. We didn't want to battle wear the slide too much because we weren't doing a two-tone. So we wanted to give it something a little extra and not quite necessarily take away from the rest of it. Also, I think we did pretty good anodizing to blue, matching on what would be the trigger to the slide. Now, of course, this is anodized, so we didn't do this. This is an upgraded trigger that had to be put in there. So that sometimes it's hard to match colors, especially when you're talking about anodizing versus Cerakote coloring, since it's not exactly the same formula on how the color gets applied to the piece of material. So sometimes that's, there's hurdles to work through. Now let's talk about the barrel. So knurling on the top, we did a battle wear here. Of course, we're gonna add some pictures. We did some stars. Got little ghost stars over here. If we see if we can get you guys that. A little bit of ghost stars over there. Pretty cool. We did a little bit of battle worn on that. Of course, we have stars all the way around the barrel. We're gonna show you guys that right now. And we ended up doing a little bit of what would be a dirty battle worn on the actual barrel. So we ended up not wanting to go with this like stormtrooper white, right? We didn't want it to be like, ooh, it's super poppy. And the reason why we did what we did was because we wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of battle wear because we're doing battle wear on the frame. So we wanted to make sure that it wasn't like super white and then not really white because there's mixed color. So I want to make sure that we kind of had a nice blend there overall and not so much of an offset between the two. Now, of course, we have the frame. Now, in the end, we ended up doing a shave on the sides. We ended up doing some nice little grippy patterns here. Stars on up through here, stars on the other side. Battle wear red and white. Very cool overall. So obviously, we have our red, white, and blue. As we had discussed in the beginning of this video, we weren't going for the traditional Cerakote of red, white, and blue pattern. We can see those guns anywhere. You can go to pretty much any gun store except for Walmart, screw you. But you can pretty much go to any real gun store anywhere and actually see a red, white, and blue gun. And it's kind of just one of those deals where we wanted to get off that beaten path. We want to make sure that we weren't following suit of just another Cerakote company. We're not a Cerakote company, guys. So this is going to kind of conclude where we were. We happen to have a lot of black. We got some pins. We got some other stuff. We have a mag that's still black. So we want to make sure that we had some black stuff, upgraded to some iron sights over the plastic sights at the beginning. So it happened to be one of those things where we didn't want to get rid of all of our black stuff. If we would have coated this, we'd still have had a couple of small black pieces in here, and I thought, let's keep the mag black. Let's make sure that we do have enough accented pieces to the gun that it's actually a color of itself and actually stands together as a collective piece, not just one black piece. So, all right, guys, for all of you that happen to want me to cut you short on the videos, which we get quite often, this is it. Take a hike. This is where you end. For the rest of you guys, let's kind of jump into the hurdles of this build and let's work through those. All right, for those of you guys that kind of want the full build video, want to be able to know the entire background of it and aren't just curious from where do we start to where do we end, okay, I'm out of here. Let's talk about the hurdles. There happen to be a lot of hurdles in here. I know there's a lot of guys that follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and I know that a lot of you guys reach out to me for opinions on machines and styles and processes, and you really want me to give you an opinion based off of experience. And I try to do my best in that. I know that lately we've been lacking on YouTube content, primarily because we've been busy. Yes, we are getting into a building. It's a huge process. There's not a lot I can go into right now, but there's a huge piece of land that a fairly decent sized piece of land that we've cleared already. We're going through the county work right now to try and get all of our permits in place in order to start building. So a lot of you guys that are local to me, this is like a huge thumbs up because we have a lot of things in the works. We will have a dedicated video on that. But as far as this goes, you know, some of the things I want to talk about is at the beginning of the video weeks ago, we have a mindset. We say we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And really what it comes out being is things change. You know, you start cutting on things, you start going down different paths, and in the end, you end up with different results than what you had originally envisioned. And that's where we are today. And I want to talk about those hurdles. I know being a company that's small, it's just my wife and myself, and I know there's a lot of other guys out there that are, you know, skeleton crews of, you know, anywhere between 1 and 5 people. And it's difficult to make good choices. It's difficult to make sure that you're doing the work to the best of your ability, especially if you don't have anybody to turn to. I've been in these positions, okay? And sometimes you're gonna find that it doesn't get any easier, you know? So be careful on the work that you're taking in. I think that's kind of the direction I'm going here with this first part of this video, is that, you know, sometimes when you get a budgeted build, you don't know 100% what you wanna do. You have a theme. Yes, you can turn it out in the end. Yes, you can get a quality piece in the end. Everybody's happy with it. But sometimes things take longer than they're supposed to. Sometimes things have to be corrected because you thought something matched and it doesn't match, or you had to skip something because it just didn't fit the puzzle. And that's kind of what I want to go through with you guys here. I know this is kind of an odd video. We haven't done a big video or a long video in quite a while, and I've been wanting to do one with you guys because there's so many things that are on my mind as far as the content that we're talking about, but as far as everything else that we haven't discussed in a while. And so we're taking it a little bit slower. You know, usually you hear me speak at like 4 times this speed. We're not really going to be doing that for the next 10 minutes. We're going to slow this down. And I really just I don't know, there's a lot of emotion in this build. This one, there was a lot of hurdles in this one. Things don't usually come hard to me. I know that it might be odd saying that, but I can look at a project, I can figure it out before we even pick up a piece. And I know there's a lot of guys that know that. There's a lot of guys that turn to me for answers because they know I can figure out every piece of the puzzle before we even touch the piece in the puzzle. This one just didn't work out that way. This happened to be a slide that we first started on the CNC machine, and what ended up happening was one thing led to another. I had an idea that I want the barrel to work like this and I want the frame to work like that, and I got so distracted in the slide work that I forgot there were other pieces to this puzzle. And I don't mean like time-wise, I mean like pattern-wise and design-wise. I got so wrapped up in what can we do with the machine. I haven't done a YouTube video in such a long time with aggressive base cutting. I feel like I've gotten off path with where we started to where we are now. A lot of stuff goes under the laser, a lot of stuff gets cut, looks awesome, but we've lost a lot of skill sets here. Okay, we run a Tormach 770. Yes, we have another Tormach here. It's an 1100 M Plus servo. You guys haven't even seen the machine yet. We have so many things that we haven't discussed because there's so many projects that I've been trying to turn out, and this one really kind of hit me hard because I wanted to focus so much time on the CNC machine, and I didn't leave enough time for the other stuff. I think maybe somewhere along the way I got confused and backtracked, and ideas got blended and they got skipped, and there was and I want to show you guys those. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I want to show you those. So we ended up having the slide all done and cut, knurled, side shaved, edge serrations done. I mean, it was done. And here's a picture of it right here. So I kind of want to show you guys what it looked like. This is in the raw. So the idea here is that this is what we had, And you guys are gonna laugh, and I make a fool of myself all the time, so it's fine. But when all these pieces were done, okay, so when I got it off the CNC machine and cleaned it, that's what it looked like, okay? And then I moved over and did the barrel, did the knurling, did the stars on the barrel, and got it cleaned up and got it coated. And then I did the frame, you know. Sorry, I've got cookers going off. This is a work day for me. So got over to the laser and ended up running, sorry guys. I ended up running the laser pattern, which we showed only one side and not the other side. And the idea behind it is that it's just repeat work, and I know the video is going to get long. But the idea behind it is that I colored everything and got it together, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. And I want to show you guys a picture of that. And in its own application of a slide by itself, it might have worked, but as a piece to a puzzle, it's the wrong piece to the wrong puzzle. And here's a picture of it here. If I haven't already posted it on the video as I'm speaking, we'll do the editing later. It was just not working. Okay, so the barrel and the frame that you see here was what we had, and then that was the slide. And like I said, in its own application, it probably could have been something that worked. I had to step back. I had to go back. I had to strip the slide. I had to figure out what's going on here. What did we skip? What was missed? Where did the plan, you know, make a turn and get off path? And obviously it was in the slide. Obviously we had gotten to the point where there was too many colors, okay? We had red, we had blue, we had battle worn, we had cleared. It wasn't going, you know? And that's what I want to kind of tell you guys is that don't get discouraged. And it's so hard for me to say that right now. I coded that slide 14 times. So just remember there's always another day. It's not, whatever's happening in your life today, there's another day tomorrow. Yeah, I know. It's crazy for me to tell you that as a company of what I do, as what you guys see, as the quality of work that's turned out. It was a 14 pass coat job. Over, strip it off, do it again, strip it off. Try this, strip it off. Try that, strip it off. You can't give up, okay? And I know there's a lot of small companies out there that have started, they've got, you know, 200 followers or 500 followers. And it just happened to be that it's so easy to get discouraged or just say, hey, let's just coat it one color and just be done with it. Just be done with it. But you can't do that. You got to finish through. You got to finish strong. You got to get, you got to get to the end, and you got to make it happen where it's supposed to happen. But guys, yeah, I mean, that was just, a couple of the hurdles I want to tell you guys about. It's not all fun and games. I mean, I know there's a lot of guys that are, man, I wish we could do what you did, and I wish I quit my day job and do it, and none of that stuff was an easy process. It's not easy leaving a job to go and do this. Okay, it's not easy figuring out what your next step is. How do you get out of your garage at your house, and how do you get into a building? Okay, none of this is like written in a book that you just read and apply. That's not really how it goes. So yeah, I know it's a little long and drawn out here at the end. I apologize about that. I know there's a handful of people that are just like, screw you, I don't want to hear it. So that's why I cut you guys where you guys could go. If you stayed and you're still not happy at the end, that's your own fault, not mine. You were warned. Yeah, I don't know. Right now, it just seems like it's been an ongoing struggle with several projects. We've just been going down a path of getting off track, I think. I've self-reflecting. I've gone back and watched a lot of my older videos and realized we've gotten off the path. And the path originally was CNC work, okay? Not just laser work, not just coloring, it was CNC work. We wanted to demonstrate that on this slide, which we did here today. But yeah, we're gonna try to get back on track, I guess is the best way to say that. Obviously I got a lot of stuff on my mind, so we're just trying to work through everything that's going on here. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the business that you guys send me. I appreciate having some of these challenging builds. I'm not against them. 9 times out of 10, I'll still take them in. But when you look at a build, you look at freedom of a build, you look at cost associated with the build, and you're like, yeah, we can do this. And then all of a sudden you get halfway into it and you realize, whoa, my plan was like way bigger than it should have been. or way more advanced than what it should have been. And I don't necessarily mean like, oh, there's more cut work or there's more laser work or I put too many hours into a build for cost effectiveness. That's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just the idea that I want to see this and I want to see this and I want that color and I want it to blend this way. And in the end, you realize you got so far off track of just the keep it simple, stupid mentality. And I like this build. Overall, we haven't done a patriotic build to this extent. So I'm pleased about that. Some of the pieces to this puzzle, like the star barrel, probably even the frame could be individually done, separately done on a different project, especially the slide. The slide was what I would consider one of the master builds. So we have about a handful of those that basically could be applied on a different build with a different pattern. So on this one, we'll flip this over for you guys. So on this, you guys see that we have, the stars over here on the side, but something to take into consideration is that this entire build could be done without the stars and the stars on the top. So in other words, this could come off of the Tormach. This could actually be ready for another design. Okay, so you could, or no design. You could just leave it the way it is and not do, not fill in the zone here, or you could do text. So sometimes when you're thinking about building things, you have to think about, I'm building something for this, but could it be applied to something else down the road, maybe another project? Those are all things that you want to start thinking about when you do things. Yeah, we're kind of just rambling now, so I apologize. Here we are, guys. If you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe. We're going to try to turn out some more videos. Screw the haters that just don't want to watch the long videos. Hey, just don't watch them. For everybody else, the content's still going to try to be posted. We have been really far behind on doing YouTube videos because we have a big land project that we're working on, that we're going to actually have a video of that. We're going to go down to the land. We're actually going to show you some of the process of where we are, what it's going to take to get into a building, and what the building is going to be once we get in there. So there happens to be a mini series, I guess, is what we're going to have to do on that as it unfolds. But yeah, if you haven't been following, subscribe, get your bell turned on, that little notification, click the bell, you get your emails. Instagram has a lot of stuff. It's really been the place to be. Okay, so if you haven't been to Instagram, go to Facebook. The content gets posted in the same places. I know there's a lot of people that follow us on YouTube. They skip Instagram, they skip Facebook. You don't have to subscribe. Obviously, it's easier if you do. But you're going to find that these big gaps that you see, the 2-3 week periods between builds, we end up posting a lot of stuff on Instagram and on Facebook that doesn't make it on YouTube. But, hey, it is what it is. If you guys need anything, feel free to email me. I know there's been a lot going on, obviously, with just everything. Just the gun market and the modification market and kids getting back to school. There's just been a lot going on these last couple of weeks. So, but guys, yeah, feel free to go to the webpage. There's a contacts tab. Fill it out. Feel free to send me an email, even if it's not related to work. If you just got a question about something, you've got a comment about something, feel free to send a message. More than likely, myself or my wife will email you back, since we're the only operators of the business. So if you want to speak with me direct, that's how you do it. Guys, have a good one.